Let us start right here, right now, because Manchester United are in the middle of one of the most complicated and fascinating moments this club has seen in years. There is no single story to tell today. There are many, and every single one of them matters for the future of this football club. We are talking about a manager fighting for his job without officially being called the manager. We are talking about a defender who has not played since November and whose season is effectively over. We are talking about a transfer target that could break the club's record fee. We are talking about a captain who declared himself available when others were away, and a lone player at one of Europe's biggest clubs whose future is now genuinely uncertain. This is not noise. This is not rumor for the sake of rumor. Every single thing we are about to go through today is grounded in confirmed information. And by the end of this video, you will have the full picture of exactly where Manchester United stand right now. So let us get into it. Michael Carrick, the man in charge, the man without a title. Let us start with the most important figure at Manchester United right now, Michael Carrick. On April 23rd, Fabrizio Romano confirmed Carrick's own words on the permanent manager question. Carrick said, and these are his words, "It is not something in terms of deadline that he is really chasing." He added that it will become clear when it becomes clear, and that he is here at the moment to help the team and the club get results. Now read between the lines there. That is a man who is calm. That is a man who is in control of his emotions. He is not begging for the job. He is not making demands. He is doing the work and letting the results speak, and the results have been speaking. Ben Jacobs, a respected transfer journalist, described the situation plainly. Carrick is basically doing all he can. He does not carry an interim title. He is part of the recruitment meetings. He is liked by the players. In terms of transition, he would be the easiest and quickest appointment. And if he gets Manchester United into the Champions League, which is looking highly likely according to Jacobs, progress on a permanent deal becomes very realistic. That is not speculation. That is a journalist with direct sources telling us that Carrick is embedded in this club at every level. He is not standing on the touchline waiting to be told what to do. He is sitting in recruitment meetings. He is shaping the future of this squad. That is not how you treat a temporary employee. And then Alan Shearer weighed in. Shearer, a man who does not hand out praise easily, urged Manchester United to name Carrick their permanent head coach. His words were clear. Under Michael, the team have definitely improved, and it looks as if they are going to qualify for the Champions League. He said if they do qualify, he would be in favour of giving Carrick the job, though he suggested a short-term deal with incentive-based targets rather than a long contract. Now that is an interesting nuance. Shearer is not saying give him a 5-year deal and trust the process completely. He is saying give him the job, but on a structured short-term basis with clear targets. That is actually a sensible middle ground. It protects the club if things go wrong, but it rewards Carrick for what he has already delivered. Then there is the question of Thomas Tuchel. Ben Jacobs confirmed that if Tuchel had not extended his contract with England, Manchester United would have gone big on him. They would have explored his interest early and potentially moved forward with him. But Tuchel signed a new deal with England. That door closed. What does that tell us? It tells us that Manchester United were watching the managerial market. It tells us they had not made a definitive internal commitment to Carrick at that stage. But with Tuchel unavailable, and with Carrick delivering results, the path toward a permanent appointment is becoming clearer by the week. Carrick also addressed the topic of English managers following Liam Rosenior's sacking. His response was thoughtful and measured. He acknowledged that instant results matter, but he also spoke about responsibility to the bigger picture. He said he does not think about what could go wrong. He focuses on what can be achieved. He described it as a much nicer and more positive way to look at things. That is not a man in crisis. That is a man who knows exactly who he is and what he stands for. Now, if you want this level of analysis on every Manchester United story as it happens, hit that subscribe button right now. This channel breaks down every angle, every implication, every detail. Do not miss a single video. Bruno Fernandes, the captain, the standard bearer. Now let us talk about Bruno Fernandes, because this man continues to set the standard at Manchester United in a way that demands acknowledgement. When Amad Diallo and Brian Mbeumo were away at the Africa Cup of Nations and Darren Fletcher was about to take charge of the team for the first time, Fernandes declared himself available to play at Burnley. He put his hand up, he stepped forward, and he delivered. Fernandes returned to the starting lineup and provided the assist for Benjamin Sesko's equaliser at Turf Moor. Think about what that means. This is a captain who, when the squad is depleted and there is uncertainty around the coaching setup, makes himself available and then contributes directly to a goal. That is leadership. That is what wearing the armband is supposed to mean. Now, here is an interesting detail that shows the complexity of this situation. Manchester United staff have reportedly been lobbying Carrick to talk up Fernandez's Player of the Year chances, but Carrick has been reluctant to do so, and his reasoning is significant. He does not want to depict Manchester United as a one-man band. That tells you two things. First, it confirms that the staff themselves believe Fernandez deserves Player of the Year recognition. They are actively trying to campaign for him. Second, it tells you that Carrick is thinking about the perception of the entire squad, not just one individual. He wants the team's collective effort to be recognized, not just the brilliance of one player. That is a manager with emotional intelligence. That is a man thinking about the dressing room atmosphere, about every player's sense of contribution and worth. Lisandro Martinez. The appeal rejected. The ban confirmed. Now to Lisandro Martinez, and this story is a significant one for Manchester United's defensive plans in the final weeks of the season. The Athletic confirmed that Manchester United failed in their appeal to overturn Martinez's 3-match suspension. The Football Association rejected the appeal and upheld the ban. The suspension was for hair-pulling during the second half of their 2-1 defeat against Leeds United at Old Trafford the previous Monday. The incident involved Martinez tugging on Dominic Calvert-Lewin's hair during an aerial challenge. The Premier League Match Centre classified the act as violent conduct. Manchester United appealed. The Football Association said no. Now here is the reality of this situation. Martinez is already a player whose injury record has raised serious questions. And now he has added a 3-match suspension on top of whatever fitness concerns exist. This is a defender who, when available, is considered one of United's most important players. But the question of availability is becoming a recurring problem. The club went through the proper process and appealed. The appeal was rejected. The Football Association stood firm on the violent conduct classification. That means Martinez will be unavailable for 3 matches at a critical point of the season. Matthijs de Ligt, the long road back. Now let us move to Matthijs de Ligt, and this is one of the most sobering stories at Manchester United right now. De Ligt has been pictured working alone at the club's Carrington training ground. This is the first time he has been seen doing any kind of physical work since his back injury emerged at the end of November. He is not training with the first team. He is doing individual rehabilitation work under the supervision of the club's medical staff. The club's official communication confirmed that De Ligt is working hard on his rehabilitation and that he remains upbeat and focused on returning to full fitness. They also confirmed he is doing everything he can to return. Now let us put this in context. When De Ligt left the pitch after Manchester United's win at Crystal Palace at the end of November, nobody realised at the time that this would be his last appearance of the season. The initial reports described it as a back injury that was not considered serious, more of an inconvenience than a crisis, but 5 months have now passed. De Ligt has not made a single matchday squad since that Crystal Palace match. The expected return dates came and went. December passed, January passed, February passed, and eventually supporters simply stopped expecting him to return at all this season. The evidence now is clear. De Ligt will not play again this season. The club has no reason to rush him back. He is working toward pre-season fitness, not a return before the final whistle of this campaign. The personal cost of this injury goes beyond football. De Ligt's World Cup dreams are effectively over. He had been performing as Manchester United's most consistent and reliable centre-back at the start of the season. Now he is doing solo sprinting sessions at Carrington, trying to rediscover basic fitness. Seeing him back in any kind of training is a positive sign. But in the context of everything that has happened, it is bittersweet. This is the progress that was needed months ago, not at the end of April, and the concern going forward is real. This back injury is unlikely to simply disappear over the summer. Manchester United will need to manage De Ligt extremely carefully next season. This is a player with enormous quality and potential, but right now his body has let him down at the worst possible time. Elliot Anderson, £125 million. And the race is complicated. Now let us move to the transfer market, because this is where things get very interesting and very expensive very quickly. Manchester United are in a race with Manchester City for the signature of Nottingham Forest midfielder Elliot Anderson, and Nottingham Forest have set their price. According to The Athletic, Forest are demanding as much as £125 million for Anderson if they avoid relegation from the Premier League. Let us stop there for a moment. £125 million, that is not a typo. That is the asking price from Nottingham Forest for a player who, however talented, has never played Champions League football and has only recently established himself as a regular England international. If Manchester United were to pay that fee, Anderson would become the most expensive signing in the club's history, surpassing Paul Pogba, who joined from Juventus for £89 million in 2016. The next biggest fee was Antony from Ajax for £81.3 million. So why is Manchester United interested in Anderson in the first place? The context is clear. Casemiro's contract expires at the end of the season. That means a guaranteed departure in midfield. United need reinforcements. Anderson has been identified as one of the top targets in that area of the pitch. But the situation is complicated by several factors. First, Manchester City are reportedly ahead in the queue. Sky Sports have placed City ahead of both United and Arsenal in the race for Anderson's signature. That does not mean United are out of it, but it does mean they are not the front-runners right now. Second, the £125 million fee is a serious barrier for everyone involved. United know they need to spend wisely. They are heading into a season in the Champions League. They cannot put the majority of their transfer budget into one single signing, however talented that player might be. Third, there is a real risk that Anderson ends up like Jarrad Branthwaite from Everton, a player who was priced out of a move to Old Trafford and ended up staying put as a result. If Forest stand firm at £125 million, it is entirely possible that nobody meets that valuation and Anderson stays at the City ground for another season. The situation is fluid. It is not confirmed. It is a rumour with credible sourcing, but it is a rumour nonetheless. Manchester United have not made an official bid. No deal is close. What we know is that United are genuinely interested, that Forest want a massive fee, and that City are currently in pole position. What happens next will depend on whether Forest avoid relegation, whether anyone blinks on that price tag, and crucially, where Anderson himself wants to go. Morgan Rogers, another target. Another crowded race. Now let us add another name to the transfer picture, because it is not just Anderson who United are tracking. Ben Jacobs confirmed that Manchester United are a genuine suitor for Aston Villa's Morgan Rogers, and they are not alone. Arsenal, Chelsea and Paris Saint-Germain are all in the picture. Bayern Munich and Liverpool are reportedly not active in the pursuit. Rogers himself is reportedly open to a move abroad and admires Paris Saint-Germain manager Luis Enrique. That is an important detail. It does not mean he is choosing PSG. It means the door to a foreign move is open in his mind. For Manchester United, this is another midfield or attacking option being monitored. But again, the competition is serious. Arsenal, Chelsea and Paris Saint-Germain represent three clubs with significant financial power and in some cases more attractive sporting propositions right now. This is a rumour at this stage. There is no confirmed bid. There is no indication of an asking price from Aston Villa. What we know is that United are watching Rogers, that there is a credible race involving top clubs, and that the player himself is open to exploring his options. Marcus Rashford, the Barcelona situation, and the cooling of appreciation. Now to Marcus Rashford, and this is a story with two very different dimensions. Let us start with the football dimension. Journalist Andy Mitten, who has strong connections at Barcelona, gave a very clear and direct assessment of the situation regarding whether Barcelona intend to sign Rashford permanently. Mitten described recent reports of Barcelona not wanting to make the move permanent as more tangible than a negotiation tactic. He stated that this has been Rashford's worst month as a Barcelona player at precisely the moment it needed to be his best. Mitten added that he senses a genuine cooling in the appreciation for Rashford within the club. These are not throwaway words. This is a journalist with genuine access saying that the mood around Rashford at Barcelona has shifted. Separately, there are reports that Barcelona could send Rashford back to Manchester United and instead pursue a £60 million Chelsea player. That is a significant development if it proves accurate. It would mean Rashford returning to Old Trafford having failed to secure a permanent move to one of the biggest clubs in the world. Now let us look at the human dimension of this story, because it matters. A post shared earlier this week contained Rashford's own words about his childhood. He spoke about his mother working full-time on minimum wage. He spoke about relying on breakfast clubs, free school meals, food banks and soup kitchens. He recalled his family collecting Christmas dinners every year at a place called Northern Moor. He said there were times when there was no food at all and the family would simply go to sleep. He said the system was not built for families like his to succeed. And he spoke about the moment he realized that when you have the platform and the position he now occupies, you have a responsibility to fight for those who cannot fight for themselves. He ended by saying he always swore to his mother that if he could ever help, he would. Those words give context to who Marcus Rashford is beyond the football. Whatever the outcome at Barcelona, whatever happens with his club future, that is a human being who has not forgotten where he came from. The football reality right now is uncertain. The Barcelona path appears to be closing. Whether Manchester United would welcome him back and on what terms remains to be seen. But the situation is clearly not the fairy tale loan move that many hoped it would be. Andre Onana, the Trabzonspor question. Now briefly to the goalkeeper situation, because there is a development worth noting. Trabzonspor's president was asked about Andre Onana's future at the club. His response was straightforward. He said that if the conditions are right, they want Onana to stay. But he made clear that the final decision will be Onana's. This confirms two things. Trabzonspor are interested in keeping Onana beyond whatever current arrangement exists. But the power in this situation lies with Onana himself. He will decide where he goes next. Whether that means staying at Trabzonspor, returning to Manchester United, or finding a new club entirely is not yet clear. What is clear is that there is active interest in retaining him and that his own preference will be the determining factor. Lenioro, the Brentford fitness question. One more injury update to cover. As of April 23rd, Lenioro had not yet returned to Manchester United training ahead of their match against Brentford on the following Monday. However, there was optimism from within the camp that he would be fit in time for the game. Separately, Brentford confirmed a triple injury blow of their own ahead of that same fixture, which gives United at least some encouragement heading into the match. Yoro is a player of significant importance to Manchester United's future. Getting him back to fitness and keeping him on the pitch is essential. The optimism around his availability for the Brentford game is a positive signal, but until he is confirmed in the squad, it remains a developing situation. So let us bring all of this together, because the picture at Manchester United right now is complex, layered, and genuinely fascinating. The manager situation is moving in one direction. Carrick is embedded at every level of the club. He is delivering results. He is thinking about the bigger picture. Respected voices like Alan Shearer are publicly calling for him to be given the job. The Tuchel option is gone. The evidence points toward a permanent appointment if Champions League football is secured. In the transfer market, the ambition is clear, but the challenges are significant. Anderson at £125 million is a figure that complicates everything. Morgan Rogers is in a competitive race, and United must navigate all of this while replacing Casemiro and preparing for Champions League football. Defensively, the club faces real questions. De Ligt's season is over. Martinez is serving a 3-match ban after a failed appeal. Yoro is working his way back from injury. The injury picture in defence has been one of the defining problems of this entire campaign, and Rashford's future at Barcelona appears far less certain than it looked when the loan move was first confirmed. A potential return to Manchester United carries its own complicated questions. This is Manchester United in April 2026. The club is moving forward. The direction is becoming clearer. But there is still a great deal to be resolved before the summer is done. Stay with this channel, because every single development will be covered, analysed, and explained in full. If you found this analysis useful, please subscribe and leave a comment below. Tell me which story you want the deepest dive on next. I read every comment and I build this channel around what you want to know. This has been Emma United Analyst. I will see you in the next one.